Welcome to Church for Skeptics, giving answers to the hard questions concerning the Christian faith. Your host and teacher is Dan Arsenault.
Hi, welcome to Church for Skeptics. For those of you who might be watching for the first time, my name is Dan Arsenault. We're actually in season 7 now of this program, and it's been a great run, and hopefully it will continue for some time. We're doing a series this time, and what we try to do on this program is answer objections to the Christian faith. This is church in a sense, not that we're meeting in a building, but it's a discussion of Christianity with skeptics in mind, and there are certainly plenty of those today, and we all ought to be skeptical. I mean, there's so much out there, so much information out there. How in the world do we sift through it? It's a lot of hard work, but it needs to be done. This series that we're doing now is a little bit more tedious than most of the other series. We've gone through philosophy and science, and we'll probably do so again. But in this series, we're talking about what are in a sense, new challenges to the Christian faith that have come along in the last, let's say, 60 years, which certainly are new. And Lee Strobel's written a book about those, and I'm referring a lot to this book, and partly because I'd like to encourage you to buy it. It's called The Case for the Real Jesus. If you saw the Da Vinci Code or read the novel The Da Vinci Code, or you've heard of Holy Blood, Holy Grail, those are sort of really popularized, not necessarily scholarized, versions of these new challenges, new attacks on Christianity. And those are based in large upon documents that have been discovered either in the late 1800s or especially since 1945. And what's unique to me is that a lot of the research and publicity, even though that seems kind of like, 50 plus years ago, but a lot of the publicity on that research has been coming out just over the last few years in documentaries on the History Channel. National Geographic's been a front runner in these things, the Discovery Channel and so forth. And a lot of books that are being currently written just within the last 2 or 3 years that are sort of delivering this information to the public. So we're talking about those in detail. They're presented to us in detail. And all of these are based on a process called historical criticism. And as scholars study the Bible or study other ancient documents, they do critical study of them from an historical standpoint of view. Are the documents early or late in ancient history? How credible are they from an historical standpoint? And of course, a document that is written by eyewitnesses is much more credible history than several generations past that. With things like Christianity and religion, that kind of thing, a lot of times legends and myths develop and they're added into these documents later. And so they sort of cloud the issue or confuse the issue. And what's happened is a lot of these documents that are discovered, have been discovered, we're talking about each of those actually, or many of them, are presenting a new version, in a sense, an alternative version of Christianity. Up until 1945, let's say, the most reliable and certainly the most sought after documents regarding the life of Christ are the books of the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And of course also, I think we would add to those the letters of Paul, who also claimed to be an eyewitness of Christ, certainly was alive during the time of the apostles, met with them, and founded many of the Christian churches that are referred to in the Scriptures. So this process of historical criticism is not wrong in itself. It's very helpful to know when things were written. It's very helpful to know the historical context of the message. Who was speaking? To whom was he speaking? And obviously we try to find the original meaning of the original text in those things. But on the heels of the Enlightenment, now, and I'm sure you're probably familiar with the Enlightenment, sometimes called the Age of Reason, the philosophy of the world began to change to where rational thinking or reasoning became, how do I want to put this? It became top drawer, became the final authority. And in a sense, maybe it always has and always will be, in the sense that even if I decide to submit myself, which I have, to the words of the Scripture, there's a reason behind that. I mean, I'm always in control of what I believe in some sense. what I choose to believe, and there ought to be good reasons for that. So I don't think we ever lose our reason, and certainly what we've tried to do on this program is present the idea that Christians don't have to park their brain at the door. They don't have to stop reasoning or give up their investigations or stop asking questions. Unfortunately, there are some environments in the Christian world that discourage the asking of questions, but I don't think that's the case biblically. I'm certain it's not the case where Jesus was concerned. There's a verse in the New Testament that says to test all things and to hold fast, hold on to those things that are true. And that's what we're trying to do here. So what I want to do is give you good reasons to believe in Jesus. That's my ultimate goal. A lot of people have barriers. They have intellectual obstacles to their faith. Some think that reason and faith are totally opposite, totally diametric, that you can't have faith and reason together. I think most people realize that everyone has some faith, even if it's just faith in their own reasoning process. Everything can't be proven. And I'll make this point here. I'm not trying to prove, in a sense, that there's no other explanation for the existence of God or the validity of the Scriptures. What I'm trying to do is to make a case that it's the best answer for our existence, for meaning. One of the things that's happened with the Enlightenment, in which man became the measure of all things, and you might say with that the master of all things, is that with the Enlightenment and the way that caused historical criticism to be done regarding the Scriptures and other ancient documents, and in particular the Scriptures, if man is the master of all things and his intellect, his reasoning ability is the final authority of all things, then he's, think about this, he can't, he's sort of committed himself not to ever subject his reasoning to any other information that might come his way. If he can't find an answer, if he doesn't have the exact answer, then he sort of is obligated by his own philosophy to reject anything that he can't find the perfect answer to. But that rejects a lot of things. It takes out of life, I think, some really major things. For example, meaning of life, meaning and purpose of life. And I've said this so many times on the program, but part of what draws me to the Christian faith is that it gives us an ultimate purpose, a reason beyond our own little world that we're here. If you're a hardcore Darwinian evolutionist and there is no supernatural and no metaphysical world, no creation, no initiator, no designer, then there's really no reason. We're here in a sense, and you can't even say by accident, because the accident implies that there was a designed purpose that went astray. So you can't even really say that. We're just here for no reason. Well, I think it's very difficult to find meaning and purpose in our own lives if there is no meaning and purpose to life itself. So all these things are important, and they go back to a bigger picture of what we believe, why we believe it. And so that's why we're trying to answer these new challenges, so that people can have a reasonable, rational faith. Reason takes you as far as it can, and then all of us, I think, take a step of faith beyond that. Since 1945, with the discovery of what's called the Nag Hammadi Library, which was just an ancient library found in Egypt, sort of a new kind of scholarship has presented a lot of challenges to the Christian faith. There were a group of writings discovered during that time, and since then as well, that claimed to be authored by Christians. Some of them claimed to be authored by apostles themselves, that presented an entirely different view of the Christian faith, and in particular of Jesus Christ, his own self-identity, who he thought he was, and his identity, who he really is. And if those documents are as historically accurate, if they have the same validity and credibility as the New Testament, we're in trouble. I mean, that's just the way it is. Christianity is in trouble. And so they have been very popularized. These new documents and what they say have been very popularized by movies, books, television, so that they have become, by many people in the public, just assumed to be true.